Hey everyone, and sorry we were running a little bit late, but we are here and we're here. That's all that matters. But yeah, happy holidays, Christmas, New Year's, all of that to everyone. And yeah, good to have you here this early in the year. And we're starting off this year with a pretty strong one, which is one I'm very excited for. And I'll tell you why, is because we actually spoke, both myself and Andrew spoke at the Google Developer Group conference last year. And unfortunately, I couldn't attend his talk because I had to do my own one. So I did the classic thing where I was like, "Hey, why don't you come and do it for FedSA? So then they can actually witness the talk." But so hopefully, it's of value to the rest of you guys as well, and it's just like exclusive VIP talk just for me. But yeah, I mean, with all of that, let's get into it. So Justin, I think maybe you want to just do a bit of overview in terms of what FedSA is, and maybe just thanking the sponsors and so forth. And yeah, and then I'll maybe pick it up again, and we can go to Andrew after that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Skulk, and welcome, Andrew. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so FedSA is Front-End Design South Africa. We started as a small little front-end meetup group around 14 years ago now, which makes me feel very old. We then went into partnership with ZAPD, the South African Product Design Group, and we've now formed an umbrella organization for everything front-end and design in South Africa. We are a registered nonprofit. And largely run through the volunteering efforts of a few people, Skulk, myself, Liesel, and Yosha, who helps us out with all the admin bits along the way. Right, so we do have a few sponsors we'd just like to thank. They help us bring all these meetups to you, pay for StreamYard and so on, so we can host our speakers. And they are KRS, which is a software development company in South Africa, and they, in particular, sponsor our newsletter, which goes out twice a month on a Monday morning. If you haven't signed up for that, please do so. In that, we just share some interesting things that are happening within the front-end and design communities on a global and local level. We include links to jobs that we think look interesting, and various things like that. And then we have two long-lived sponsors in Animal and IO. Animal is a software development company in Cape Town who actually hosted the very first FedSA event back when we were just Cape Town front-end developers. Disclaimer, I work there. And IO Digital, who've also been a long-term sponsor for us for many years and used to give us venues and all sorts of help along the way. And Liesel, who is one of our co-organizers, also used to work at IO. So those are our three sponsors. And as I say, many, many thanks to them. We wouldn't be able to bring these events to you without them. Okay, you can find us in three places, kind of Discord, Meetup, and LinkedIn, and I guess also the newsletter. We'll pop those links into the chat for everyone if you haven't yet joined us there. We do lots of discussion on Discord. Meetup is where you can find all our events. And then on LinkedIn as well, we post interesting things. And you can also join the live streams on LinkedIn as well. I also urge you, you are on our YouTube right now, or you wouldn't be here. Like and subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the more we can get our talks out to people. That's the first time I've ever said that.
Yeah, I just saw you die a little bit inside. Rather you than me. As Justin said, we've been running this for 14 years. Took him long enough. Finally. But yeah. I hope this is of value to you guys. And for me, I'm super excited for this because it kind of aligns with a lot of. I'm not that interested necessarily in kind of like the AI and LLM space itself, but I think there's an alignment of a lot of things here underpinning what Andrew's like. I haven't seen the talk, but just like anticipating, I think the things he's going to cover. I guess one of them being like WebGPU. Would that be a good assumption, Andrew?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So like I'm like kind of like WebGPU is like pretty fresh. It's kind of like a direct replacement for kind of the WebGPL API we had previously and so forth. And like it's fascinating. And like I don't think people understand kind of like what a massive step forward in terms of the type of things we're going to be able to build in the browser. This is going to provide us. So yeah, like I'm fascinated by that. So I'm here for all the web GPU talk. Like it's just like I guess like whether it's AI or whatever is tangential to me. Okay, cool. So like with that being said, I'm not doing much to hype this up, am I? With that being said, as professional as always. With that being said, like yeah, Andrew, I'm happy for you to maybe just like take this over before we kind of crash the ship into like something, and maybe just like do a bit of an introduction in terms of who you are, kind of your background, and maybe just the topic and so forth as well. And then like whenever. Just before we head into that, I think I also want to mention, guys, so like please, any questions you have, post them in the text chat in YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever. And Andrew said he's going to pause every now and then we can go over any of the questions that were asked and he can respond directly to them. And yeah, I encourage you guys to do that because like I think this is the value you get of a live stream like this is you can like ask very specific questions, whereas if you're just watching a video recording, you can't necessarily ask specific questions that are relevant to you or ask clarifying questions related to like parts that you don't fully understand and want a bit more explanation on and so forth. But yeah, with all of that out of the way, Andrew, I'm happy to hand over to you and you can introduce yourself and let's get this going.
Thanks, Colton, Justin. Can everyone hear me? Great, thank you. So yeah, my name is Andrew. I'm a tech lead at Sinov8 Software Solutions. We build some product software, and so like while researching and building software, I discovered something so awesome, something that I really enjoyed just seeing. Like we don't need to have a backend to run AI now. We can run like very fast, very efficient AI in the browser. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So yeah, I'm just going to dive right into it. Now I'm not seeing the other screen. So Skulk, I'll ask you to just jump in and say something if you need my attention.
No, I will do that. Don't worry about it.
Cool. So yeah, I think the first question that many people have is like, why web and why now, right? And I think for most front-end developers, you will know that there's been a lot of push towards like keeping operations that can be done in the front end because it's faster. It reduces the amount of compute that we need, like, and then that just in turn means we don't have to pay a lot of money to whoever provides our services, our server services. And the web is like the easiest platform to work with in terms of distributing your software to people, because it's all people need is a browser. You don't need to like install and do things, do that, and oh my god, it's this different OS. So how do I get it to work on my machine? Type of thing. It's just the web, and like there are billions of users on the web, so it's like the best platform. And also another reason is like latency, right? The world, if you run AI directly in the browser, then it means you've lessened the number of API calls that you're making, and that in turn just means your users are going to get a better user experience because they're going to get like a very quick like a quick response from your platform. And then, like I said, you want to keep a lot of the data on the device. You don't have to send a lot of data unnecessarily to the backend. So yeah, and the other reason for why now is because of the compute abstractions that are more mature. So like Skolk mentioned earlier, I think the best thing we had was WebGL, which was like very hacky and was very hard to work with. A lot of things would just not work like out of the box. So the development of the WebGPU API, which is like very new, has been like a huge step in the right direction, and it now enables us to have like runtimes that support AI and interact with the GPU directly, like your machine's GPU or your Android phone's GPU. And that's a very big thing there. So it's like it allows you to do your math, run your inferences very, very quickly with like a lot of speed. And like WebAssembly is like the other reason. It's not very new, but it's also very mature now. Like you see a lot of Flutter apps, like a lot of some like these what do you call them, AI runtimes that take advantage of WebAssembly to just run things in a much faster way. Like because with WebAssembly you're compiling your C++ or like your very low level languages to run on the web. So that's what that facilitates. And then there's like some hope in the near future of like web neural network, like the API, to just be more stable. So that's also like a good reason for us to look forward to what we can do with AI in the web. So like this one now will also give you access to not just the CPU and GPU, but the NPU as well, neural processing unit of the OS. So and it leverages like frameworks that are on the OS, like OS level frameworks to do that. So who else is doing AI in the web, right? You'll see there's like a lot of apps now that are taking advantage. Part of this StreamYard is using also AI in the web to give me filters, like to hide my background. If you can see, you know, things like that. Like if you want to blur your video stream, you're running all that in like, there's like models that are detecting my face, like detecting the edges and like applying certain filters with that. So there's like a lot of examples. Like YouTube has got some AR filters, Adobe Photoshop and other like photo studio type of apps. Like Google Photos, I think, is another one where you can edit photos. You can do all that in the browser. So it's like taking advantage of build AI models to give you like a better user experience in the while doing all that in the browser. And before like I get asked questions around this, I think we're not trying to replace the web. I mean, the backends, it has to be clear. It's not the objective is not even to do away with the backends, but it's to compute or to do the computing where it's most efficient. So we will, as you design AI features that work in the browser, you will need to have some fallbacks, and you will need to build for the best use cases for in-browser inferences. And you need to be very strategic. It's like one of the very controversial topics right now is, can you effectively run LLM in the browser? And the answer is yes and no, because it will depend on the machine that is running the LLM. Like you'll have like a model that is as big as 900 megabytes running on in the browser. And if the phone is like, or if it's a phone or it's a laptop that is very poor, that has got very poor processing capabilities, then it's going to be a disaster. So it is very important to be cognizant of the size of the models themselves as we build. I'm going to just mention some of the practical use cases of running inferences in the browser. Like, I think the number one is video streaming, and like this thing of applying filters and detecting stuff. That's like the most widely used, I think, right now, because a lot of video platforms, a lot of these streaming platforms, etc., they allow you, whenever they do that in the browser, they usually use the in-browser inferences, in-browser inferencing. And one new thing that's like, I don't know, Skulk is probably the expert on this, but it allows you to use like new interfaces where you can now use your hand and a camera to instruct a computer to do certain things. And I think what other people are actually doing out there is translating sign language into audio from like, just so now a person who's not able to speak can give signs and input sign languages as like as input, and then the browser runs that and gives you the audio of what they're saying, etc. And the other in-browser inference application would be like information extraction. So someone can upload things like a bank statement, and you don't need to send a query to Claude. You can just run your model in there, and it just extracts whatever you need. And then the most obvious one is recommendation and prediction. So and like I think one of the very first use cases was like detecting not safe for work. So it can be images that are not allowed on a platform, or like text that is not allowed. This was like one of the earliest use cases. So so the next question would be, how do I start? Like, how do I get into writing AI in the browser? I'm just going to give you like a mental model before going into the code. So the general process of like building AI or working with AI starts from like the tools that you use when you're when you're creating a model, right? Like you want to detect pizza and not pizza. For example, you first have to either create a model or find a model. So these models they are written in like PyTorch, TensorFlow, and these two main, or even JAX as well, but these main platforms, they don't run in the browser. They just run, like, you have to deploy it somewhere, I think in like Flask, and it runs in your backend. And yeah, so that's like one disadvantage of the model authoring tools that we have right now. And so what people have done is that they've created converters or like model exporters that allow you now to then take that model that has been authored in TensorFlow, for example. You can now export it into a graph for the web, and that would be your like your different formats. There's like, I think one of the popular ones is ONNX, and then there's one, I think TF-Lite. TF-Lite is the one that Google's TensorFlow uses. And then once you have that, you now need to run the model that you got. So you want a runtime And this is where tools like MediaPipe and again, there's ONNX. That's also like, I think that's the most popular runtime for web AI right now, ONNX. And then, so it's TensorFlow, and I think for TF Lite, there's Lite RT, which like runs TF Lite models in the browser or on other edge platforms as well. Then you have the execution, which is the hardware. So what your runtime then communicates with this. So essentially, for the most part, we will not need to know how to write WASM or how to interact with the web. Well, WebGL, I was supposed to strike this one out because people are not really using it anymore. But the WebGPU, for the most part, we're not going to be interacting with WebGPU because it's already implemented at this layer, like we're in the runtime. So most of the runtimes that you're going to use are using this. There are instances, however, of like, let's say you're building like a special graphics software, or you want to do something that is very hard, or that's gonna be like computationally expensive. If you use an existing runtime, then you can then move to this lower level and interact directly with these APIs. So I think in this presentation, we're going to be focusing pretty much on this area, especially the runtimes. So yeah, cute question. Have you heard of MediaPipe? I did mention it a couple of times now. So what is MediaPipe? MediaPipe is a ready-to-use real-time video, image, and audio processing software. So it gives you like a lot of APIs, easy to use and very friendly APIs that you can quickly interact with and quickly add to your app. And like the APIs have got like, they interact with pre-trained models like Google's models to run inference for you. So it's I'm gonna show you a demo very soon of like how we can use MediaPipe for inferencing, but it's super fast. It's now one of the reasons why a lot of people are moving to the web is because of this MediaPipe and the ONNX runtime. So MediaPipe, the general usage is that you create an index.html, you create like an area for like a div or a canvas that's where you run your camera from, because MediaPipe is going to be okay. A lot of people use it for cameras. That's why I'm mentioning camera, but it also allows you to do some other things like what you call them, embeddings. Like if you want to create embeddings for your text, for your like vector database search, you can use MediaPipe for that. And it also supports the in-browser inferencing for that. So let's take the camera use case. For example, let's say you want to detect a face. The first step would be you create that div in the HTML. Then second, you import the MediaPipe libraries. Then third, you initialize them, pass the parameters, then you run the inference, and then you're happy, smiling. I'm gonna just run through like an implementation of how you would do that in practice for like a face and hand tracking software. So here, so this is like how I did one of the demos that I'm gonna show. this is how you would then, this is like a CDN for MediaPipe. And these are options that I'm going to pass to my function. So create a function that initializes the hands detector. So the hands detector is called hands. So I was battling within in my head, like, should I call it hands detector or something? But like it's the MediaPipe library for detecting hands and like detecting hand gestures. So as you can see, it's like very few lines. It's got a very cool constructor, new hands, and then how do you locate the file that for initializing this? You pass this path /hands/file, and then you set the options to these ones that I have defined here, and then you set up the callback, which is the on results. So this is like how you would initialize like a function for using the hand gestures or detecting like this hand has got this peace sign or this sign or whatever sign you want to detect. And then having this create hands. So this is just returning like the hands detector, an instance of that. And then now I set up the camera, which is linked to that canvas that I want. So create camera, new constructor again, very small. And then I pass in, I think the most important bit would be hands. So this is the hands thing that I created last. And then I pass it this video element parameter. And then how do I initialize everything now with the context? So I might have done this in the wrong order. It might be confusing, but we'll see. So this is how I would initialize my app. So inside my class, I have like a hands equals to create hands, which refers to the function I showed you first. And then I pass it a callback of like, okay, once you detect hands, you want to do something with whatever you've detected. So like, let's say you've detected a gesture. What is that gesture and what is someone supposed to do? So if I want to just swipe a screen by doing this, then I then handle that appropriately. So create hands using, and then when you have an inference result, you invoke this function. And then you create the camera, which is the second function that I showed you, create the camera, and then you start it. So it's like very few steps to get like an app running. Let me just share my screen, my other screen, which has like a demo of these quickly. Share screen. Entire screen, okay. This one. Right. Is it sharing my screen now? Great. Let's see. So let me just run this. Ooh, I'm using my camera. I hope this will work because my camera is already in use. It's gonna be interesting.
Otherwise I can just like remove your video feed. But let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, seems all right. Hey.
Yes. So this is the thing. So yeah, it's gonna be detecting like my hand gestures. So I put a key here that says when you have a thumbs up, put the next filter. So I've got these filters that I want to apply. And then when I get a peace sign, it means go to the previous one. If it's an OK sign, then remove the filter. If it's a feast, then I toggle debug. So I'll start with the, okay, it's not detect. Yes, there you are. So it's running too fast, eh? But
wow.
essentially, so that's, if I do a thumbs up, then it's like it keeps going to the next filter, to the next filter, to the next filter. And then if I do, what's the other one? Peace sign. Peace sign. It's going to be doing in the reverse order. I don't know if you can see the order of these things.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. And then, so it's, it applies this fake hat. I didn't have the time to integrate like a 3D thing like 3JS or like some other fancy stuff. So you'll see that my glasses are very, very basic, and my face mask. But so these are some of the things that you can do using MediaPipe. So it's like basic interactions with like hand gestures and like detecting software. I mean, detecting your face. The other thing I don't know if it's, okay, I'll just wait for the questions on this, like if there's need for me to go through the code just to show if there's someone who's interested in knowing how I did this. But, and another use case that we can like enjoy as well is like games with, so you can create a game using this MediaPipe, because now you've got like extra gestures. So you can have like a Nintendo Wii. I'm just starting up the npm. Right, so it's starting up. Okay, let me do it this way. Right, there we are. So this would be like how to like then take advantage of the APIs that you have, like the hand API, which I find very cool. So I've got my Ninja Fruit that I have, that I can play using my. It's very slow, but like Macron said, it's predictable. So yeah, that's like an example of like, again, what you can do with the MediaPipe library. It is a very cool tool to have in your box. And for running other models, so there are like other runtime engines. The number one being like ONNX, which is like I think on Hugging Face, when you're looking for models, you'll most likely find sorry about that. You'll most likely find these formats for most of their models. So it is a very cool model format to work with, and a runtime also to work with, because it's got like very wide support. You've got light RT, like I think this is between this one and this one. I'm not sure which one is the second most widely used, but it's TensorFlow models. So this one is like mostly PyTorch models from Hugging Face, but you can also export TensorFlow models to this format. And then LightRT, it's running inference on like you compile your model to TF Lite, which is the TensorFlow Lite model. It's smaller. It's built for like the edge software. So that's like your browsers, your mobile apps, and like your IoT devices. And then you have your TensorFlow.js, which will allow you to train and run inferencing using the browser, or like Node, basically. So you can do it using Node, or you can even run it in the browser. So I think I'm just gonna try and share my other screen, which has my TensorFlow model. I think it's TensorFlow Web. Yep. Coming quickly. So it's a different screen. Just want to go through like how I approached this one. So I had like, and this one is like for the people that are more interested in like,
Sorry, can you maybe just zoom in a little bit? Like I think people that are on small screens, the text might be a bit too small.
Okay. This thing is just betraying me.
If it's not possible, it's not the end of the world. Yeah. But like I do know that like that's usually the first thing people ask when they look at code on the video stream.
Okay.
This is okay.
Cool. I'm not going to dwell here very much. So I just wanted to say that I ran like I collected a bunch of images from our website because I wanted to make a model. So I built a model and then I saved it for TensorFlow.js and this is a saved model, sorry. And then I saved the web model here. It's not very big. I think it's 3 megabytes. It's much bigger than I wanted because the architecture I used was just crazy. But it just classifies whether a ceiling is clean or it's dirty. And this was just for like demo purposes. So that's what I wanted to show here. So I took that model. And on this one, I think I can easily enlarge the screen. No. There you are. So on this one, I took the model, saved it in my public directory, and then I also had like a version where I have the TF Lite. And then I just import it, load the model, and then I ran my inferences on it. So it's not like a lot of lines if you want to do it using TF Lite as well. So this is now like an existing model, right? You either train the model yourself, or you can just get the model from like TensorFlow Hub or other places. Or if TensorFlow Hub is the most common one for TensorFlow. And then I didn't go for the easier one, which was the ONNX, because it's like very popular. It's easy to find like an existing model, but it's pretty much the same kind of setup. You load your model, you invoke functions that classify, and then you process whatever output you get. So it's not, the reason I'm showing this screen is just to show that it's not a lot of code that is involved. And that's like the takeaway from this screen. So you can quickly get a model from like any platform, get the right runtime for it, then run inferences, enhance your user experience. So let me just run this one so you can see it in action. Have I stopped the other one? Yeah, stopped. Right. And then I need to move to my browser. Right. There. So now I can pick some images from my dirty image list or my clean image list, like just to try and see if I can detect that an image is clean or dirty. So as you can see, this is all running in the browser. So this is like within the moment, like upon uploading, like when I think the event in JavaScript is on file changed. So on file changed, I can quickly run some inference there and get like some information from my photo. And this is like very fast, as you can see on my screen. It's not like heavy or anything. Sometimes it may not give me the correct output because it's like a model that I created in very few minutes. But for the most part, it does work. So that's like another approach to running these things in the browser. So that is what okay, I've already done the TensorFlow.js. So this one is the one that's running TensorFlow.js. The other two were running MediaPipe. This one is like just TensorFlow.js, and TensorFlow.js is then using like the WASM and my MediaPipe etc. So that is, I think, what I had for you today. I'll wait for the questions.
Well, so first and foremost, like, thanks, Andrew. That was phenomenal. I think like there was one point where you're like, okay, I'm going to show some more examples, and I was like, what? There's more examples? Yeah, like, damn, like this is really, really cool. I have a ton of questions, and I'm happy to start digging into them. But yeah, like I just want to, like, maybe as people start maybe typing up any questions they have in the text chat or so forth, I'll give people some time. Justin, I don't know whether you have any questions, because you know, once I start, like
no, I'm happy for you to go ahead, Skulk.
Yes. So I think just
anything comes in from the chat. If you've got any questions, please just type them in the chat, and we'll put them on the screen.
Yes. So I think, like, just a personal note, like I very much kind of resonate with your kind of idea of this isn't to replace a backend. This is kind of like, so it's this whole thing about local first, and I think like there's a lot of confusion around local first, and local first isn't local only. Local first is that you treat the connection to the server as an enhancement instead of treating your local environment as an enhancement, which is a bit backwards. So you assume there's a local environment that can do some local stuff, and then if there is connection to a server, then you enhance on top of that, and then you can do extra stuff. And like, I think like I've been interested in kind of local first and so forth for a very long time now, just like out of pure curiosity. But I do think a lot of stuff happened last year, specifically with like AWS and, you know, Cloudflare and Azure and all of that stuff, where we kind of like saw just like how brittle some of these cloud systems are. And I think it's not, you know, like it's not, once again, it sucks that you almost have to reiterate this, because like people keep on hearing that local only, and no one's saying local only. No one's saying get rid of the cloud. I think what people are saying is that like there's a lot of stuff where the cloud shouldn't be treated as the primary core thing that drives the entire app. You know, like, so there was that 8 sleeps example, of the beds, where when AWS went down, like the beds got stuck, and the smart beds thing. But it's interesting. The other day, I saw also a friend of mine on LinkedIn, and shout out to you if you're actually listening in, is share that like he, and this happened to a lot of people, is he has like some type of like specific like pro computer mouse or something that uses. Yes, someone asked about whether there will be a recording of the session. There will 100% be a recording of the session. Like all our live sessions are automatically uploaded to YouTube. I might even do some light edits on this as well, just like cutting out the spaces and ums and me rambling and all of that stuff. But so effectively, so I can't remember what it is, but it's like some like mouse thing or whatever. But it stopped working because the DNS certification expired. And how wild is that? That because like the DNS broke for the site that's hosting this, he couldn't use his mouse because it required a server to kind of sync stuff and so forth. And I think that's what a lot of people consider, like maybe some of that stuff shouldn't just be cloud first and then low. And I definitely see, so it's really cool like seeing like the Fruit Ninja stuff and so forth. But there's definitely, I can imagine there's a ton of uses in terms of like apps and stuff for people that just do daily things, like they kind of logging, like you're kind of a plumber or whatever, and you want to identify, like what is this part that I need for this thing or whatever, or like you're, I don't know, whatever, like a painter or a farmer or whatever. Like a lot of this, I do think a lot of this, unfortunately, like there's all this LLM stuff is really cool, but I do think like all this hype around LLMs and so forth have thrown a lot of the kind of computer vision stuff under the bus. And there's a lot of really cool stuff happening in computer vision and have been happening in computer vision over decades now. Like I was involved in some really cool stuff in terms of computer vision and applications of that for like products and and stuff almost 15 years ago. And it kind of, it's a bit of a pity that kind of everyone's so LLM obsessed now. But I can definitely see where there's a lot of value, especially if it's more real time. When it's running locally, like, and you can real time on video feeds do things, and you don't have to pass that all the way to the server and then back again and so forth, which is really encouraging.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I think then once again, when you couple that with kind of like a bit of a movement to local first, where you can have intermittent connection, or you're not just like, if you're out in the field and you're kind of like a quantity surveyor or whatever, and you're using an app to do something, you're not just like streaming gigabytes and gigabytes of your like cell C data or whatever just to kind of like match like some visuals or whatever. I could definitely see like some really cool applications of this. I'm curious whether you've done or you've actually worked with like some real world applications of this beyond kind of just like cool experiments and stuff.
Yeah, I have worked on like a classifier that I did for a company that does like some, but it's just a basic implementation of TensorFlow.js. So they wanted a model that runs in the browser. You give it some input. It was a photo classifier. So they're like photo intensive. So give it some photo, and then it just outputs you, okay, this is that. And then I would then connect it to a knowledge base that then, gives them like what they needed.
Yeah, and like I can like also see a lot of like, just thinking about some of the stuff I'm involved in.
Yeah,
definitely a lot of like really cool uses. where so there's one project that I'm involved with where there's images that there's a lot of images kind of that gets used, and like a lot of stuff's inferred from the images, and at this point someone has to go and manually like capture that, and that might even be stuff like, okay, cool, like if this is for a company or whatever, and here's the company logo, like what is the primary brand colors, whatever, for example, then that gets used in kind of the UI elements and stuff. So currently people have to set that, but like there's some really cool, I can definitely see where you just upload a logo, and it automatically just infers like, cool, all the brand colors, and it applies it and so forth. Maybe even something like, looking at a logo, if there's like a specific font in there, inferring what font that is, and there's some really cool stuff that you can do there.
100%. I think so. For this use case that I'm talking about, it's a tobacco farming company. So they support a lot of farmers in Southern Africa that do tobacco. So what I did for them is they've got like a chat thingy where people send photos and ask, okay, I've got my crop has got this problem, and then attaches a photo. So immediately, as someone attaches the photo, it goes through the pipeline. It can just suggest to them something. So that was like the functionality that they wanted from me. So depending on like the confidence threshold, you can give them the response there. And if it's not like very sure, then we send it to the back.
So another like really cool thing that I can think of is like, so, in the very early days where kind of like we started getting all these open AI like endpoints and stuff, like one of the first thoughts I had was like, wow, how much easier this makes like web scraping. So instead of like previously going and being like, okay, go to this page, find the H1 tag, and then there's like some weird classes, whatever, and then you have to, okay, there's an image next to it, see if the image is there. And like now I just use Puppeteer or whatever, I just like go through the page, just take screenshots, and then I feed it just into the LLM, and I'm like saying, cool, like I'm doing some web scraping, like let's say these are all like, I don't know, like online clothing store or whatever. I just want to scrape all the data. Just like find all the URLs, go to all the pages, like take screenshots of everything, and then just feed it into an LLM and have it just extract all the information, categorize it, and so forth. The problem with that is if you're working with very big data sets, like you barely press that button to start running the scraper, and there goes your tokens. It's just like, So, like it's very rarely worth it. But this obviously this changes kind of like that. It definitely changes kind of like this, the cost benefit kind of like equation here, because if I can just do that locally, there's no cost, and I guess there should be some really good like OCR like models and stuff out there.
Definitely there are like Hugging Face is like the most popular place to find those models. Like some of them are very small, like it's very easy, and depending on your application you can get like something that performs really well for like maybe 18 megabytes. And if your application can support 18 megabytes, then you're okay. I think the biggest caveat here with these things is like it can easily like slow down your page. It affects performance. So that's like the biggest thing you have to worry about. So when you choose your model, like you just need to be wary of like performance versus your use case. How important is speed or like page lightness versus like running things in the browser? Is it very important for the person to get their inference, in real time, or it's more important for them to just have a light page?
Here's a question, like a really good question. Is there a specific reason you used, I assume that's a typo, MediaPipe for gestures and TensorFlow for detecting whether the pictures were clean or dirty? So I would assume the question here would be like, is there a specific reason why you use those two? What are possible alternatives? And why might you use those or alternatives or vice versa?
Yeah, there is a very wide range of tools available now, especially now. So it all depends on the use case that you have and like the technical skills that you have. So I like TensorFlow because I studied for a certification in TensorFlow. So it's like the easiest thing for me. But obviously, it's not the most popular model authoring tool now. PyTorch is. So for most people, they're gonna just go for the ONNX. But so it's not like I used it because it's like the best or anything. I just use it because it was the easiest for me to communicate my points. But in terms of like MediaPipe, running classifiers via MediaPipe is not the best thing. It supports that, but there are other better runtimes. TensorFlow.js being one. The what are the ones? I think anything that runs TensorFlow Lite models is also like a good one because they're like very fast and like I said earlier, the best ones are like the ONNX because they've got like huge support. TensorFlow.js also is just good in the browsers because a lot of people use Chrome, and this one is built by the guys that built Chrome, so it's also like an added advantage there.
I obviously can't speak to its popularity, but like as someone who's not actively like embedded in the field, that kind of just like is on the periphery, like sometimes looking at stuff, hearing about stuff, and so forth. TensorFlow would be the one that I kind of would immediately recognize, that I hear about the most. Yeah. So there's another really great question here, which is how involved is the training and refinement pieces of the model beyond leveraging out-of-the-box models libraries? So I would assume the question here would be like, how far can you get, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my understanding of it, is how far can you get by just taking these things out of the box, not even knowing anything about machine learning or whatever, taking it, plugging it in, and like kind of running with it. Like how, like to what degree do you need to understand something about the training or actually do a bit of training yourself and so forth, or can you just completely just use it off the shelf and like go?
Yeah, that's a good one. With MediaPipe, it's designed for people that are not running, like that are not used to training models. So MediaPipe should be like your easiest tool to like if you're just starting or if you just need to, detect faces or like detect hand gestures or whatever, because they've got like a lot of use cases. If you go on their website, someone shared the link to the MediaPipe.
Yeah, that was me.
Platform. Cool. Yeah, so they have like a lot of use cases and examples, and it's very easy to, once you get the mental model of like how they built MediaPipe, it's very easy to move from there and use it. However, with TensorFlow.js, it's like it's not very hard to use existing models. But if you want to fine tune your model, you will need to like have some understanding of how that works. Fine tuning is really good because it improves accuracy. So it's like it's always a trade-off when if you want accuracy and like your use case is not very niche, it's like the general use case, then you do not fine tune, right? You just keep it as is. But if you want to target a specific use case, then now and you don't want to train a model from scratch, then you move to TensorFlow.js, and then you train it to fine tune the models. So that's like the trade-off there. It all depends on like what you're trying to achieve, like what the problem you're trying to solve is, and like what's important to you.
So,
Oh, you're muted again.
oh, what? I think I'm back. So, yeah. So another question from my side is, so let's say I'm brand new to this. This is the first time I'm hearing about TensorFlow, first time I'm hearing about MediaPipe, first time I'm ever hearing about WebGPU. I didn't even know you could do this stuff. I barely know anything about machine learning or AI beyond like ChatGPT. What would be a good entry point for someone to whom this is like all brand new, don't know anything about any of this, but is interested and want to kind of start playing around with some of this stuff? Is there any specific resources or courses or video series or anything that you'd maybe recommend as an entry point for someone?
Yeah. There's like I think the best place to start is MediaPipe website. So it's MediaPipe Studio, I think. That's where, because it gives you some excitement around what you can do, and it's not too hard to implement the things. They've got like well-written examples. So I would say for me, that's like the first part. And then as you go deeper, and now you've got like new use cases where, when you have new use cases like that are a bit niche, then you can move on to Hugging Face. Hugging Face has got like some good documentation, but it's now a lot of pages. When they started, it was very easy to find what you wanted, but now it's the documents are not very easy to find. But yeah, Hugging Face has got some nice blogs around like how you can use models and how you can get one model there in the right format and apply it to your use case. And then TensorFlow, there's a TensorFlow website as well that can give you like some information. I think you can search for TensorFlow.js.
I think there's a link here to the JavaScript specific one, but let's try it.
Ecosystem. Oh, you were there. You had it where it says ecosystem, the menu.
There you go.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, that one also is a good place.
Yeah.
So, but a
good example might be to start looking at some of these demos and maybe like reverse engineering them. I guess would be your best bet. Like there's some cool stuff here.
Yeah, 100%. The only tricky bit there is that TensorFlow.js is a bit in depth. So if you don't understand how building machine learning models works, it might be like a deep dive. So, but if you can take it, it is like one of the best places to start from. But if you can't take that, if you want something light first to just get excited, build something quick, then MediaPipe is like your best bet there.
Yeah. And so these models that they have here on TensorFlow, can you just pull them and use them?
Yes, you can pull them and fine tune them. So for my clean dirty classifier, I actually first ran one where I fine tuned an existing model, and then it was like 8 megabytes, and then I was like, no, let me not do this. Let me train it so I make it faster.
Yes. Yeah. let me also see if there's an awesome list. TensorFlow.js. Like these tend to be, yes. Okay, there's a couple of them. These tend to be, so you can just search for, yes. So just search for like, so there's this whole concept about like awesome lists, which is like repositories that people maintain about like specific topics. So, like if you're like, if you're interested in like, Node.js or whatever, or Roku or JavaScript, like even there's something like Promises. Promises has its own awesome list, and so this is like cool. These are like cool things to check out. Like here's some courses, here's some deep dives, here's some references, and so forth and so forth and so forth. And I do see there is a couple of TensorFlow ones where it's like cool. Here's some cool documentation, some tutorials, some models, papers, videos. Yeah. So that's what I generally do when I dive into kind of a new topic that I'm not familiar with. First thing I do is I see if I find an awesome list on that thing. And it does seem like there is a couple of ones for TensorFlow. So that's super encouraging.
That's cool. I actually didn't know that trick, so thank you.
Yeah. I kind of maintained one at some point, but like then I just...
I remember.
Yeah, it was like the static site...
The Jamstack one.
Yeah,
was it?
I think it was this one. Like, and I just got handed it because like I contributed to it, and then the guy who ran it didn't want to do it anymore. Yeah, it was this one. And then eventually I also reached a point where I'm like, I can't maintain this anymore. But yeah, like it's community maintained, like lists of stuff on specific topics. So yeah, that's a really good entry point as well.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm afraid I'm going to have to jump off as I've got to go to an appointment, prior engagement. But Andrew, thanks so much. That was really great. I really appreciate it. I'm definitely going to be doing lots of interesting things with this. And carry on. Skulk, we'll chat on the Discord. Thanks again. Sorry to have to leave you.
No worries. I probably have a good 15 minutes I can probably still do. So we can probably just go through some questions.
Okay, great.
So yes.
Okay, thanks all.
But cool. Thanks, Justin. Okay, so here's another audience question. Any notable considerations to be aware? Oh, this is a great point, and I think I made a mental note to touch on this, and then I forgot about it. Is because I think this is such a big conversation point, is like this whole thing about security and also like data privacy and so forth. But any notable considerations to be aware of with regards to security, user privacy, model licensing, given the context of possibly productionizing these for customer apps? That's a great question. That's not what I wanted to ask, but I think it's actually a really insightful question, which is like, if you want to build some type of app that you want to sell that use these models and so forth, like what are there any implications in terms of licensing or privacy issues you need to be concerned about? Like is the person who created the model, is he just like sucking up everything that you're pushing into the AI, or like what are the considerations there?
Yeah, so it's two-sided. On one side, you've got I think the first thing is you have to run on HTTPS. With WebGPU, it doesn't run when you're not using HTTPS. The API is not enabled there. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is there are some security concerns because your models are not going to be very private, depending on how you serve them to the users. But any user who's smart enough, if it's running in the browser, might have some access to it at some point. But in terms of privacy is usually not a big issue, because that's the biggest advantage here. You're not sending something to some server. It's running on the, so it's it just gets downloaded to your application's user's device, and then it runs on there. So it's everything that they're giving to it, it's getting processed there on the device. It's not going anywhere else. So that's a big advantage. So yeah, the answer to that is like there are two sides to it. Depending on like how private you want to keep your models, you then have to figure out like other security mechanisms of like maybe encrypting and like adding some other security hardening. But for the most part, you want to just expose your basic models that just enhance the user's experience, not like your private models that you spend millions of dollars of R&D. Yeah.
So, okay, cool. So if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is that the drawback here is that like it's easy to reverse engineer the model itself, if that is something you care about. If you are hiding that model on a backend somewhere and someone just sends a request and they get something back and they don't know how that was calculated or whatever, like you kind of, that entire model is hidden from users. But because if you're running this locally, you have to push the entire model down, which means that someone can like very easily reverse engineer it. And you know, that might be a problem. It might not be a problem. Like it depends on like whether you actually value the actual model itself, or whether the model is just for a specific purpose, if the model itself has any inherent value. I would say probably the hand gesture one you were doing, there's probably like thousands of models that do that. And especially if you're using someone else's model, you don't really care about like if someone can reverse engineer someone else's model. But yeah, like I do hear you. If your entire business value is built around the actual model and what you can infer from this model, like let's say you've built the most accurate, dirty, clean ceiling detector known to man, and nothing comes close to it, and you're like, obviously, like that is the value that I provide here. That's the value of my app here. Yeah, then there's some concerns because someone can just they have that model locally. They can just take it and reverse engineer it and use it themselves. But I think in all other areas, when we're talking about privacy and whatever, like running it locally is just like far outweighs like. Once again, you know, you're not sending any data anywhere. Like I think a big concern like that a lot of people have raised is just like how much confidential data is being sent to stuff like ChatGPT, just as plain text over the wire. You know, people's credit cards, like whatever. That stuff's not encrypted, you know, like someone at ChatGPT can just open that up and be like, oh, cool, you know. So I think like there's also a question around, you know, like if you're doing work for a company or whatever, like the implications in terms of, sorry about the noise in the background, around like kind of like sensitive data and so forth, you know, like maybe like you know some companies have policies about like what you are actually allowed to actually send to like stuff like ChatGPT and so forth. So because that data never leaves the device, you don't have any of those problems. So it's kind of like a trade-off. The user has kind of infinitely more privacy than they would if you're running this on a backend, but you have less privacy in terms of your model. So like it's a trade-off. Like who gets the privacy? You, or does the user get the privacy? But yeah, it's interesting, and I wanted to actually bring that up, and I just didn't get down to it.
It was a good question indeed.
Yeah. Another thing that I'm also curious about is like one thing that's also like still kind of like in the works is kind of like WebRTC. So that's stuff like peer-to-peer connections and whatnot. And like I think like given some time, you know, like so this is very far from actually being production ready and so forth. But given enough time, as something like WebRTC starts maturing as well, like I think we're also going to start seeing more interesting uses of like a lot of these local things, because now you don't have any server in the mix. You just have users connecting directly to other users with no internet server somewhere. And I think then a lot of the local first stuff is really going to get interesting.
Yeah, 100%. That's going to be a very interesting feature and interesting shape of the web. But
yeah. So another question here is so I guess then things like memory context recall wouldn't be something one builds a use case around. I don't necessarily think, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, but I don't think necessarily this would have any implications for like memory or context. It's more about like where do you store the stuff. And at the moment with something like ChatGPT, that memory and that context is stored on ChatGPT's server, which raises some privacy and security problems because ChatGPT knows a lot about me. It knows probably like it can very clearly probably say like kind of I stay in Cape Town, I'm a male, I mostly write TypeScript, and so forth. So I think like if anything like that context never leaves your own device then. So I don't think it's an issue around like whether it's possible or not. I think like that context and stuff is just then stored locally, which is actually like a really good thing for me personally. Yeah. I assume like that's correct. My understanding of that.
So the funny thing is like context and recall, they also mean some other things in like training models. So I was like, okay, is that what you're referring to? But yeah, I think, and I was like failing to get the question, but I think you got it right.
Yes, I think his question is more in terms of like things like where it can infer stuff based on previous stuff you asked. I'm curious, like how, like how I assume like this is basically like primarily a question about storage, and I guess you can dump a lot of that stuff in stuff like IndexedDB or even local storage. I don't know, local storage is big enough, but probably like IndexedDB and so forth. Like with these TensorFlow and so forth, like how easy is it to kind of inject like context into kind of the queries and so forth? So
it depends on like the kind of model that you're running and whether or not you want to allow that. So with the context stuff, it's mostly LLM related.
Yes,
and you
that
can,
is true.
like,
yes.
Yeah, you can kind of in a way lock the models that you don't train based on users' data, or you can just let it get the context from the chat. So like I think with LLMs, their APIs, I think the most common ones is just there's one where you just send a request and each request is independent. I've forgotten what that's called. And then there's the chat one where it's like, it's a thread and it's keeping some context. And the smaller the models, then the smaller the context that it keeps. But it becomes a concern when you're running LLMs. And I know definitely there is like some use cases for running LLMs in the browser. So when you do that, then you might want to just either, if you want people's privacy to be like high priority, then you have to like freeze the model and not allow it to learn. Otherwise, it will do a bit of. But then the good thing is this is a model that's going to be running on their browser. So
exactly.
Even if it learns, it doesn't matter.
It never leaves your own browser.
And in terms of storing data. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking there's like, I guess some really interesting things there in terms of like search and search, like for example in a data set or whatever, where I've previously used stuff like what's it, Fuse is the one. I think is like Lunar, which is kind of like a JavaScript implementation of like kind of the Solar search. So there is a lot of like, and those do some cool stuff in terms of like fuzzy matching and inference and so forth. So if I'm searching for something with the word water, it's also going to match stuff that has like hydration or whatever in it as well. But I assume with stuff like this, like when you're searching like locally, you can probably get way further in terms of like inferring exactly what someone is trying to get at here. Like that's also really, I'm actually curious. I'm probably going to do a bit of Googling afterwards to kind of see kind of whether there's any type of like I guess mini LLM, like you're probably not going to get something to the degree of like ChatGPT or whatever running in your browser, but like there's probably like some nice things you can do in terms of inferring what someone, and also given what they searched for in the past and so forth, what exactly it is that they're looking for right now.
There's one called Web LLM Chat. That's like, I think that's the most popular one now.
Oh, are you sharing it currently?
Not sharing it.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Can you see my browser?
Yes.
Ah, cool. Yeah. So I was sharing it.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is on my screen. It's one of the most popular ones. I did try it out. It's got like what do you call it? 900 megabytes model, llama model. So this one that I was running here, I was running it on their platform, but it's got like it can keep some history and stuff. So it's a cute one. But you can implement something like this on your machine, and it won't run it, like it won't send data to their platforms. So that's like one thing. I just couldn't find like a good use case for running LLM inferences locally, but there may be some.
All right, cool. But thanks so much, Andrew. Like this has been like super useful. I think as Justin said as well. Like, so I did mention we kind of record all of these and we upload them. So like you can just like subscribe to our channel and you'll probably get a notification when I upload this afterwards at some point. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks, Andrew. Where can people get in touch with you and learn more about the stuff you're doing and so forth?
Yeah, I'm mostly active on LinkedIn. That's like the best place. So I think I am Andrew Sitole.
Yes, I'll actually just share it.
Yeah. That's like the best place to get me. The other social media platforms I don't visit very often. My GitHub is I'm gonna publish the demo stuff that I just showed here. So I think, Skull, can I send you the links to the demo stuff? Like the GitHub links. Oh,
sorry, I need to unmute myself. Do you have it at hand right now?
Not right now.
But if you send it to me afterwards, I can just put it in the comment, like as a pinned comment on the video.
Yeah. All right, that's cool. Yeah, so I'll also send the GitHub links for that. Those are the platforms where you can reach me.
Okay, awesome, cool. Thanks so much for this. And hopefully see you guys in the next one as well. We also have another cool one coming up, I think, pretty soon, which is about we're doing a lot of really cool stuff like in 2026 is about like kind of voice assistants and stuff, but specifically in the South African context and South African languages and stuff. So hopefully I'll see you guys in that one as well. Thanks so much for your time, Andrew.
Definitely. All right. Cheers.
Okay. Cheers, everyone.
Yeah.